The 200th anniversary of the signing of the Constitution, all that sort of thing. I think you had a big celebration on one Friday, or?
What was the special significance of the Harmonic Convergence and purported galactic activity the weekend of August the 15th to 17th, besides the grand celebration of the 10th anniversary of Elvis' death? Hardly any connection. Was he giving a concert to the celestial hierarchy of the galaxy? Hardly. Well, the special significance of the harmonic convergence and so forth, I'll get into that a little later. Give a little bit more definitive rundown. Will President Reagan go down in history as a great president? I think he will. We certainly revere President Lincoln today and honor him as being a great president. He didn't have the honor of dying that way. He was, ill-begotten rail splitter and one thing or another, and a tyrant and a few other things. In fact, to the degree that they got this actor of the day who hyped him all up. He'd be a great hero in America if he would have killed the President of the United States. So he shot him in the back of the head, killed him down on the stage, as you know, turned around and said 600 horrendous or something. Down with all tyrants. So people in their own day are hardly ever recognized for what they really are, particularly presidents. I think President Reagan went down in history as a great president, yes. He had a battle with Congress, a few others, but I think Congress got a little bit of insight. They got hold of the lieutenant colonel. Boy, they kind of snapped up there a day or two, did you notice? They changed a bit. He used to speak of the flying saucers. Whatever happened to them? Nothing. He previously led many of us off the continent of Atlantis during the ending of their time. Well, this time he lead us off the planet during the coming time. I don't think that it would really be necessary to lift anybody off anywhere. A great deal depends on what happens in the next few years, certainly. But with this harmonic convergence, galactic harmony and so forth, that should make a tremendous difference, because that will affect every human being. A few years ago, you used to speak of the Antichrist rumored to come out of Italy. No, I never said that. Has he come of age by now? Will he appear in public life soon? Antichrist is anyone against the principles of love, or the principles that Christ stood for, which was simply that, love. Anyone who espoused those particular principles, destructive principles, would certainly be an Antichrist. I don't envision any one individual to rise up of that stature. It may happen, but I don't think it'll happen in the near future. Have you recently installed bulletproof glass in your car, or don't you drive the LA freeway? I drive the freeway, certainly. But where most of the shooting takes place is not in our end of town, thank goodness. Mostly down around the south part of town, the southeast part of town, the eastern part of town. That's where most of the shooting takes place. And I think quite a bit of it is by our friends south of the border that come up north of the border. And they used to say, there used to be an old saying, at least I heard when I was growing up, there was nothing hotter than a Mexican pistol. And I think the same thing. If you get in their way or something, they shoot you. And that's about it. But the law is frowning on this considerably, and so I doubt it would be too much shooting in the near future. Johnny Carson, did you say something when he pulled off the side or something? We saw a car pulling on the freeway, didn't want in the freeway, so he pulled off to the side. This prophesied second coming of the Christ, this vibration of love to cover the earth from pole to pole, is the divine incarnation of the Avatar Satya Sai Baba, is the divine incarnation of Avatar Satya Sai Baba the instrument for the prophesied manifestation? I don't think so. Prophesied second coming of Christ. Nobody knows when the second coming of Christ will be, or the third coming actually. We've been here twice already. But in any case, there's no real need for an avatar or a Christus at this point, at this period, mainly because this is simply the change of the time. And I remember, as I've probably told you on other occasions, being with Maharishi when we went to the shrine of Mother Divine, way up back in northern part of India anyway, and he kept asking her why she didn't send someone to take care of the world and so forth, why she didn't send an avatar, why she didn't send someone to kill the demonic and this sort of thing. And her answer was, it's not necessary. No one person is responsible. Is now simply the mark of the times, the change of the age, this sort of thing. So with the change of the age, there are many things that have to happen, many things that will happen, many things that are happening, many changes. Today, you're seeing in the world the Pisceans and the Aquarians. Now the Aquarians of today, by nature, are pretty rugged and pretty rough. They haven't been polished down too much yet, but they will be in the future. However, you're seeing the Pisceans attempting at all costs to maintain the status quo. And it's very difficult and very hard. Now, President Reagan, as an example, is of the Aquarian age, moving the world, trying to turn the United States around, trying to benefit the world, to come into the new age, but he's meeting head-on opposition from all quarters. Well, a lot of that's to be expected. That's why you need a strong man, why you need a strong president. But I don't think that the next coming of Christ will be as Lord Maitreya. And if Benjamin Kramer gets that straightened out, we might find out soon. I doubt he's ever going to get straightened out. I've been talking to the wrong person. He says, who does Maharishi worship as God? Almighty Father. Almighty Father. Two gods. There's a personal God, impersonal. Absolute, personal. Absolute is simply consciousness. Personal God is conscious. You see the difference? So it's Almighty Father. Created the universe, created all beings. Almighty. Almighty Father. During your many incarnations of human being, what did you say was the greatest lesson that you mastered? And what is the greatest truth that you come to realize? Gosh. I think the greatest lesson anybody learns is to run their own business. The greatest truth I think I've come to realize is that you have to grow into truth. You can't have it poured on your head. You have to grow into it. And I'm serious. That is a great truth when you realize that you have to grow into it. You can't just jump into it. How can we best prepare children for life in the new age as leaders in the new age? If they are meant to be leaders, they will automatically take their place. A lot of these children being born now, they are quite different. Some of them are rugged individualists, that's true. One little boy I know in Southern California, boy, he was really something. Couldn't handle him in any direction. So they took him to a psychiatrist and gave him aptitude test and what have you not. Turned out he's a genius. So no wonder. I think he's worrying about why the parents aren't as sharp as he is. But in any case, if they're to be leaders, they will naturally take their place. Leaders have a way of doing that. Should our children treat Pee Wee Herman as their guru? Is that guy on TV or something? Hardly. I think blindfolded you can do better. If you briefly express your opinions on some of the same questions that are being asked of the Pope during his visit here. I'm not the Pope. I don't live in the Vatican. I think that in all sincerity, that there have to be some changes in the church. Many of the steeples do have to come down. Many of the truths that the Pope is standing for are certainly self-evident, and I believe will remain. I think there are other things. Now, as I explained just in New York, is that same question. The one reason why I think the church is very adamant about women becoming priests is simply the priest, along with being a priest, has to manage quite an operation. Nunneries and schools and a few other things. He has to be good in organization. Women are notoriously poor in organization. They're not really geared for that activity by nature. Now, that doesn't mean that some can't acquire it. Probably some do. But by and large, by nature, and understanding the inner workings of nature, which the church certainly does, and which the Pope certainly does, they have more or less kept the women out of organizational activity. And I think that's their real motivation, to be honest with you. Priests marrying, I don't know. I don't see a great harm in priests marrying, but on the other hand, if they expect the ultimate result or effect of being a priest, then of course celibacy is a good answer. But I don't think that's too widely practiced either in many quarters. But be that as it may, Pope really stood firm. He isn't about to change, you notice that. No matter what, this is the way it is, and this is the way it's going to be. And you have to admire him certainly for that. But I think that when everything settles down and time to come, there will be adjustments. There have to be. Very much so. Do you believe in divorce after two people have vowed to stay together in the presence of God based upon the scripture reading, what God has joined together, let no man put asunder? Is man monogamous by nature? No. Polygamous. Woman is monogamous. No, I don't believe in divorce because by and large and basically, you don't marry by mistake. If you have a karmic marriage, which certainly many are, you're there to work things out. Now, if a karmic marriage is worked out, then you can part as friends with no recrimination on either side. Therefore, no one is hurt and the karma is worked out. But if there is a separation and one suffers, one or the other suffers as a result of the separation, then the karma is not worked out. And they're going to have to work that out at some other time, some other point. So, no, I believe that when you're married, you should be married. And I also do not believe in meeting on Monday and marrying on Friday. There's a lot of that going on, relatively speaking. I think there should be a courtship of time. Just get to know each other. It used to be that you were engaged for 2 years before you were married. Back in the gay 90 age and so forth. Just heard my mother talk about it. But in any case, there weren't too many mistakes in those days. There weren't too many bad marriages. Before the 2 years was up, you got to know each other pretty well. And you knew whether you could live with each other. But they don't seem to do that anymore. Does a woman have an ethical right to abortion? Boy, sure know how to put somebody over a barrel around here. But I'm wondering, where's the barrel? Look behind me. I don't know, I believe this, that what right have we to deny the oncoming generation the right to be born? I feel that and I take that position. But again, under certain circumstances, conditions, and so forth, I think it remains an issue with the individual woman. And I don't think the government should regiment it or what have you not. I believe that. Are most means of birth control okay, or should sex be simply reserved for procreation? Well, I do know in some countries the only pleasure that people have in life is sex. That's all. That is, it begins and ends it. They know no other means of pleasure. And I think that sex, the basic principle, the basic purpose of sex is procreation. But I've never seen anything that limits everything just to that. As far as I'm concerned, sex is an extension of love. It's just part of love. It's an extension of it. And there's no reason to feel guilty, certainly not. And also, if you can't afford to bring children into the world, you can't afford to support them. And strangely enough, they're the ones that have all the children. Because the more intelligent you are, the more intelligent a female is, at least, the fewer children she has. But I don't think that it has to be regimented, again. Will there be a new religion guiding the Aquarian age as Christianity has been? Well, I'll read this again. Will there be a new religion guiding the Aquarian age as Christianity has been the focal point of the Pascean age? Will priestesses perform a greater role? Well, the priestesses used to perform a greater role, certainly. But when it came down to institutions, then the men took over. That's about all. And I think, yes, there'll be a new form of religion, very, very definitely. It'll be a religion of truth that we do not now know. People all over the world will understand reincarnation. People asked me yesterday what I thought about what Shirley MacLaine was teaching. I think what she is teaching and what she's saying about reincarnation is very good. Because an awful lot of people will hear that. And it'll benefit a lot of people. But I do not believe that channeling and all this thing is good for anybody. You don't need it. If any higher beings wish to communicate with you as an individual, they will communicate through the subtle senses. They will not speak to you. It just doesn't work that way. Also, in the higher planes, inner planes, the watchword in the inner planes is, do not interfere with human karma. So the higher beings do not interfere with human karma. But a lot of these people speaking to you tell you what to do, when to do it, how to do it, where to do it, and so forth. So they are interfering with your karma. You have to work that out yourself. Were the founding fathers of America Christian? Or was their spirituality rooted from some other source of inspiration? Most of the founding fathers belonged to one of the mystery schools. The founding of America was not a mistake. It was prophesied way back in the early days, Middle Ages even, by prophets and seers of that time, about the land that had not yet been discovered, about the great land and the great nation that would be, and so forth. That was America. But this was based on mostly spirituality, not on the religious concept as such, because they were of all religions. And mostly from the standpoint, now spirituality and Christianity is not a religion. Christianity is a way of life. Spirituality is a way of life also. So most of them were in their thinking and in their hearts Christians, yes. And most of them were of a spiritual attunement or attainment. What was your favorite movie of the summer? Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. I understand the Seven Dwarfs are running for president or something. Is that true? I didn't see any of these pictures, so. I have to depend on the VCRs. We don't go to movies very much. But in any case, I was not too equipped to go to the movies these days. Anybody else have any atmosphere are you to start with? And again, some people are very susceptible to everything. Some people are not. So I'd say as a precaution, it's just best to stay away, that's all. So what are you going to accomplish outside of curiosity? Curiosity. You know how many cats that's killed? No, it's just best not to. In the early days of my looking for the right path, so to speak, I did go to a couple of manifestations. I knew Pretty Lily Candor, if any of you have ever heard of her. She was probably one of the foremost mediums, I guess, in the United States, in the world. She worked with the Pentagon, and I knew her, and so she kept insisting that I come to a manifestation. That was her turn. And I didn't go to several, and finally I did go to one. And I agree that there is such a thing, that you can, through ectoplasm, bring somebody back here. And he walked up to me and said, "Feel me, I feel just the same as you do." And I stood there and watched him materialize in the ectoplasm and so forth. And so I did see how it worked in the whole thing, but I wasn't overly impressed. One fellow said to me, "Would you like to see me go through the floor?" I said, "Fine." Like that. He went right through the floor. I'm standing there watching him. And the next fellow said, "Now, would you like to see me just slowly disappear?" I said, "Okay." So slowly, slowly, he faded away, and I reached out, and there was nothing more. But, so I did see all this happen. Little dog, paralyzed, came barking, whatever not. So it was interesting at that juncture, yes. But I was not overly interested. It's like I remember this architect that I knew. I had an appointment with him on a Monday, and it was Friday when I saw him. Monday he was gone. So his son, after he passed away, he was pretty close, his son worked with him. His son went to these materializations. And he said, "I spoke to Dad last night." I said, "Ask Percy where is he? What's he doing?" But the same answer was always the same. Do you ever notice? "It's beautiful over here. I'm very happy." But that doesn't tell you where you are or what you're doing. You're not about to. Never told you where you were. You never go to another materialization for the next 10,000 years. But anyway. But the higher self, in learning the lessons of life, could not come down and be bound to the wheel of necessity, the wheel of birth and death. It could not go from immortality to mortality. So it had to send a part of itself into mortality. And it could extricate. That's the soul. Soul is never born, soul never dies. But the soul is down here taking on body after body after body for the knowledge and the experience of life. So actually, in touch with your higher soul, you really are in touch with it. Now, when there's been a connection made, in many cases, you'll see that one eye looking at you. You'll see that in meditation. Or when you're coming out of meditation, just that one eye looking at you. That simply signifies you've made contact with your higher self. Now, it does not necessarily follow because you have not made contact at all. That's just one way that you can be apprised of the fact. Unless you have more questions. I can't say what process by which the new age is making itself known to humanity. The unfolding of the age of Aquarius. The unfolding of new powers, new understandings, new capabilities, and the unfolding of a new type of human. Also, it is the solar logos who is adopting his consciousness to receive and adopt a new characteristic of divine energy. A change on his past affects all life within. A change on his part affects all life within. That is to say, all life within the solar system. So this in turn is passed on down to the planetary logos, causing the earth to respond to this new divine energy and benefit from this new divine outpouring of a new consciousness now to be experienced on this earth. And in turn, this will affect every human on this earth. The consciousness of mankind has and is now being prepared for the outpouring of these new energies and the development now offered to him. There will be a new consciousness, an intuitive mental awareness attuned to a higher level of knowing and power unlimited by space or by time. By this, the human will have his creative faculties greatly enhanced. Man for many centuries has been locked into the emotional mental awareness. An awareness very much concerned with concepts of separation, time and space, limitation, and greatly limited from creative powers. Now is the time for the unleashing of far greater creativity along with the expanded consciousness. However, because of the scope of the new powers which the New Age consciousness now offers to humanity, these abilities can only be exercised within an environment of love, selflessness, and a sensitive dedication to an awareness of God and goodness in the wholeness of life. Humanity without such a consciousness of love and a sensitive unfoldment of discrimination and to be able to know and live truth in life would be hopelessly lost in such a new world. So humanity must now be truly born again of the Spirit or of God, both being the same. So those who cannot measure up to these requirements will simply fall away from life on this earth. Not to be punished or being weighed in the balance and found wanting, but to be held out of life for a time or to be placed on another earth that does not have the new energies now being released on this earth. Too many humans now have the desire to destroy rooted deep in their psyches. And this will be totally unacceptable for the new age of heaven on earth. So they must now go some other place. For only those who have their psyche rooted in love can handle the new energies or vibrations that will now cover the earth from pole to pole. So now there must be an unfolding and an actual blossoming of such a consciousness of love and truth on this earth. The new birth of the spiritual being who seeks to express this through the physical body. So the body must now have attunement through mental desire and practice and not to be lost in the energies of materiality and negative motivation of selfish desires. The fall of man was the original alignment of his spiritual energies with these forces of materialization so that he would be able to enter into the physical experience and learn from knowledge and experience in such a medium of creative density. The secret all along has been not to become too entrapped in the realms of form and matter. So at the time when the trumpet sounds, one would not be too locked into density so that he would not be able to grasp and receive the new energies which will stimulate higher and higher faculties and lift one back into the realm of the spirit as a master of evolution and not to suffer the fate of one who is lost in devolution. And too focused on matter and too focused in density to be able to respond to the clarion call of the new age. So the motivation is not to be locked into that. Now it is the one who has the higher qualities of an uplifting love, truth, and colored wisdom who hears the call and then responds. The earth's logos, raising his vibration, has created a new mold of life, power, and light for everyone on this earth. Those who respond to the ideas of love, truth, and wisdom will release these creative energies by living a life attuned to these ideals. So a new way of life has now begun. And it remains for all to behold and to marvel at the wave of love that now sweeps the earth and creates a heaven here on this earth. Those who have silently prepared by the practice of transcendental meditation or devotion to Christ or to God will now lead the world into peace and into prosperity with love for one and love for all. And one for all and all to share, to be of service when it's necessary. When this happens, then truly the deserts will bloom and man will again certainly walk and talk on this earth with God. This is the new age. This is the new convergence, harmonic convergence. will become the creative center of the world. Great creative minds will be born in the United States, and America will become the center of world information and scientific knowledge. The United States is also to lead the world in peace. Also, the power center of the United States will shift to the southeast and also the southwest. We will lead the world in computer technology, highly effective robots, college education will be for all youth, just the same as high schools are today. Financial management for everyone. Many breakthroughs in medical science, such as the recognition that nature has a cure for all ails. Also, the fact that the mind causes all of the ailments of the body, harnessing of space energy for earthly needs, living in space, and so forth. All this will come to pass. The federal government will become increasingly obsolete. State and local governments will begin to take over. Washington has a very poor sense of what the people really need in the different states of the United States. There will be no longer any big brother concepts. Entrenched politicians and government workers and government bureaucracy will simply disappear. Lawyers will no longer control the government in most high positions. They have found now in government it can be run without attorneys. Honesty in high places will take over. Power interests and selfish lobbies will no longer exist. The voice and desire of the people will be heard and listened to by the government, and we will become truly a democracy. Houston and Los Angeles will be the key cities of the United States. Houston will be the capital in the future, and Los Angeles will be what New York is today, the center of things. Clothes will become more functional and less for fashion or high fashion. Cool in the summer and warm in the winter. Long wearing and easy to clean. This will be done by ultrasound machines which you'll have in your own home. The weather to a great extent will be controlled. The work week will be a 3-day work and 4 days for spiritual development, hobbies, rest, recreation, or whatever. There will be longer vacations, and emphasis will be on world travel, as people of the world will truly come to know and enjoy each other in peace and in harmony. As poverty, enmity, and resentment will now be gone. Extreme wealth also will be gone. You see yesterday the Queen of England was worth $7 billion? I'm moving to London. People will be able to go anywhere in the world in 2 hours. You can have breakfast in Los Angeles and lunch in India if you like. The problem of fatigue caused by crossing time zones will have been conquered. And people will arrive at a destination more refreshed than even when they left. People will live in Los Angeles, an example, and work in New York City. Most education, especially in the lower grades, to a great extent, will be in the home. Mothers will be the teacher. Mother will be a good teacher, too. Mother wants her children to learn. You know they're different from mine. Middle-class housing will be solved by park-like communities everywhere in the United States. They'll be beautiful and also they'll be functional. People will eat in the central kitchen and central dining hall. They will eat healthy and yet very delicious food that keeps the body in attunement and also keeps you youthful. People will eat to live in health and not live to eat. Most things will be done by computers, and much software will come from outer space. TV will be three-dimensional, and they'll have a sense of taste and smell in them. Banking, will be done by a credit system. Pay-as-you-go method. People no longer carry money. I notice this is being done now even in some of the big markets. You go down the East Coast, you can walk in there and give them a card and they run through a little thing and that's about it. Income tax will be greatly simplified and nearly extinct. You will pay a small percentage of what you earn and that's it. Most taxes will go to local government and very little to the federal government. No more empires in government. Phones will be Vista phones, and many will be the size of wristwatches and carried everywhere that you go. Aero coupes will replace most cars, and they'll be accident-proof. They'll be flown by voice-activated computers. Cars will travel on controlled highways at over 200 miles per hour, again, computer-controlled. And they do have stock cars now manufactured that do go over 200 miles an hour. Several companies are making them. Did you hear that? All telephones and overhead wires will vanish. The earth will become very beautiful and all ugliness will disappear. Truly the deserts will bloom. There will be beautification clubs who will have worldwide contests to see who's doing the best job in their respective areas. The atmosphere will become very soft, and all harshness will be gone. Animals will wander the lands, no longer hunted and afraid of humans. Truly the lion and the lamb will lie down together. Very brilliant and spiritual people will inhabit the earth in peace and in happiness. All armies, navies, and police forces will have vanished, because their organizations of necessity and their no longer will be necessary. Young children will be told stories of the days when the godless men cheated, robbed, and killed their fellow men. It will be fiction to them. The necessities of life will be so abundant that it will be freely given to the people. Disease as we know it will nearly vanish, and people will speak of the times when certain karmic diseases nearly destroyed humanity. And they'll say that was back before the beginning of our new age, isn't it? People will now live in good health and in youth for at least 100 years, but they'll never look over 50 years of age. English will be the universal language of the world, and people of all nations will then truly be able to communicate. This is why travel will be very interesting, to be able to communicate with each other very freely. Marriages will now be recognized to have been made in heaven and not where most people think they started. And as a result, the right people will marry each other and divorce will be a thing of the past. People in this world will now come to truly experience God in truth and not in some organizational version of God and the truth. The approach to God will now be direct. It will be a personal experience. And again, God will walk on this earth and rejoice in His children for their love for their Almighty Father. This is what the Harmonic Convergence is signaling. That's what's coming. What's here? That's the word about it coming. It's already here. Much of it. And again, it will affect every human on earth. Just some a little sooner than others, that's all. A lot of it. There's nothing wrong with that, I'll tell you. Washington gets tired of being capital. He's going to take over. Some 200-mile-an-hour wind might blow Washington away. I mean, it could happen. Going down to Potomac or something, I mean, it could happen. No, just this shift is that direction. You can read almost anything and see where the shift is now going to the southwest and southeast. Do you notice that? Oh, tremendous shift. And it'll be more so, much more so.
You said people would commute from Los Angeles to New York. Does that mean New York will still be here?
Oh, sure. Why not? Might be old York, but it'll be here. But, no. If you can go any place in the world in 2 hours, how long do you think it'd take you to get from LA to New York? 25 minutes or so? 30 minutes? It's like we always think about it when we go from San Diego to LA. It's just a plane goes up and comes down. It's LA. It'll be the same thing, New York, LA.
But you didn't describe any dramatic change in the geography of the North American continent. I wonder if that's part of it.
No, I don't anticipate any dramatic change. What for? Nothing really wrong with the way it is. The White House alone. Come out with your hands up and be surrounded by guns. Surrender. First thing you hear. They don't need that. They're smarter than that. Way smarter. So they'll come when it's a lot different. But they'll bring many wondrous things with them also. That's what I mean about software from outer space. Requiring an awful lot of that lately. They're really beginning to understand it quickly. Programmed by thought. They're beginning to understand it. The union of the self in man with the self of the universe is what is called yoga. Yoking up of the finite with the infinite self. Now, the essence of spiritual development is that one needs to build a bridge between the soul and the body. This is called the anakarana. And this is described as the channel along which the energy of the soul flows in ever-increasing force. The average person has only 5% of the soul's energy available to them. However, through the practice of transcendental meditation, as purification takes place in the body, the energy greatly increases. When there is total energy operating in the body, one then has what is known as a soul-infused personality. There are two movements of humanity, upward and downward, and both are irresistible. It is faith that fights for God while knowledge is waiting for fulfillment. And as long as the latter is withheld, the former is necessary. Obviously, if you don't have the knowledge, you better have the faith. Faith takes precedent when the knowledge is absent. Now, the genius of self-sacrifice is not common to all nations and to all individuals. It is rare and precious. It is the flowering of man's ethical growth, the evidence of man's gradual rise from an animal nature to a selfless divinity. Must occur in India. I guess many of you are familiar with the fact that Maharishi is building the Maharishi Nagar in India. I showed you a picture of his house the last time I was here. Yeah. For any of you who want to see it. Pass it around, I hope you get it back. That's Maharishi's house at the new ashram in India. When Maharishi first came out to the world, his objective all along was spiritual regeneration of India. But he ran into a stone wall, and he needed help, he needed support. And it was an American in Madras who told him, Maharishi, if you'll go to America, he said, I heard your lecture last night, it was very good. He says, if you want help, you want support, why don't you go to America? They're very affluent, and they will help you. So on that purpose, he came to America. What he needed was our help, our support. What he gave in return was the keys to the kingdom of eternity. Immortality. You can't beat that, can you? That's a fair trade. You can't buy God, you can't buy spirituality. That was given to us. So there's no quarrel, certainly. I'd be, oh, well, maybe he just wants money. More power to him. I hope he gets as much as he needs, much as he can use. He needs it. Because he can't run out of gas halfway down the road over there, you know. When he's starting, he has to finish. Because why? Because in the future, India is going to be what America is today. Many of us, if we do not make it out, will wind up being born in India. Nothing wrong with it. It'll be a far different India than we're familiar with today. And again, I always think of the fact that many ages ago, many of us were Romans. I was in the Roman legions, I know that. I led the legions up the Appian Way, I know that. I walked up the Appian Way one afternoon and I had that vision. I said, I've been here many times. I have been here. But the legionnaire of yesteryear is the American of today. And the American of today will be the Indian of tomorrow in many cases. Nothing wrong with it. Because the soul of India must now awaken. The 19th century in India was a time of imitation, self-forgetting, and artificial life. It was a forced practice or process of the reproduction of Europe and India. The old saying of the Gita was, for the time being forgotten, it is better the law of one's own being, though it is badly done, than the Navian Dharma well followed. If India had succeeded in proceeding to Europeanize itself, it would have lost forever its spiritual capacity, its intellectual force, its national elasticity, its power of self-renovation. This, however, was not true.